quick way to animate a ball with a reaction to water. So first thing we're going to do, delete the cube. We're going to add our ball, so just a UV sphere. I'm going to lift it up a little bit so it's up off the ground. We can give it some color now, so you can change the color and add texture, whatever you want to do. Okay, there we go. I'm also going to come down and change the animation to just 100. We don't need a really long animation on this one. So now that I have that, I'm going to now add something that's going to make water. So I'm just going to add a cube and put that up there. I'm going to make sure that it's over my ball. And then I'm going to hit num0 to make sure you can't see this in my animation. I'm going to lift my screen for my camera up a little bit so that it's in the view of the camera. Okay, so I'm going to right click back onto my cube that I put above my ball. And then I'm going to come down to Object, Quick Effects, Quick Fluid. I'm going to then come down so I can see what I'm doing and hit Wireframe. So I want to make sure that that box isn't blocking my view. The box that I've created goes around the smaller box, and that's because this is where all the water is going to go. This will produce the water, this will contain it. So as you can see, I wanted to hit this ball, but it's not big enough. So I'm going to hit S, and I'm going to make it bigger. And I want to try to make sure that it comes right here to this bottom section. Now I'm going to click the ball because I want the water to interact with that. I'm going to come over here to the Physics tab. I'm going to hit Fluid, and I'm going to hit Obstacle. Then I'm going to come back to my box because I need to make sure that my water looks like something. So this says Fluid. Blender has automatically made this the fluid air output and this the domain of the fluid. So because this is the fluid, we need to add some color or something to it, or it just won't show up. So let's make it just a light blue. Now you can play around. There's all kinds of different stuff you can play around down here with. You can add a mirror surface, subsurface scattering, there's shadows, so much stuff you can play around with in here. So after you have your animation pretty much set up, come in here and start playing around with this. You can change that translucency, whatever you want to make it. All kinds of different fun things you can play around with in here. But for now, I'm just going to leave that with the settings I just set, and we'll go from there. Okay, now what we're going to do is, now that we have this set up, this is our domain. So you can see it says Fluid Domain. I'm going to click on this outer box, come to my Physics tab, and then I'm going to bake it. So I'm going to hit Bake. So you're going to be actually giving the Blender system an opportunity to run all the different calculations it needs to run to make this water come down. So you're going to wait while this gets to 100. By the time it gets to 100, you'll be able to create your actual video. Okay, now that my animation's done baking, if I hit the play button, I can watch the water, and it will fall. It will bounce off of that object, in this case, the cylinder, or I'm sorry, the sphere that I put here. That will be an object that it will hit and it will run off of. And then the fluid will stay inside of that domain, that box that we had earlier. So for your animation, go ahead and play around with some of the settings. There's all kinds of settings with this water that you can play around with. Try to add a texture, add some different colors, use some of the different things you've learned so far. You can use a different object if you want to, one of the different objects over here. See how it affects the way that this changes. And once you're happy with your animation and you're ready to submit, just go ahead and render that.